Good evening and welcome. This is News First Primetime News. I am Shahin Jurangpati.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Before we head into the news in detail, here's a look at the headlines.
An environment conducive to foreign investors created in the country. President makes a statement in Thailand. University students march to the Ministry of Higher Education over several demands. Tensions in Parliament. Heavy rains across the island. Bank of the Epawala tank breaks off. 20 hectares of farmlands destroyed.
Your top story tonight, President Maithripala Sirisena met with several top business leaders in Thailand as part of his official tour to the Southeast Asian nation. He attended a trade conference in Bangkok today.
Business leaders from Sri Lanka and Thailand and investors were present for this conference this morning. Speaking at the conference, President Maithripala Sirisena said that special attention will be focused on providing facilities to international investors under the investor-friendly program implemented in Sri Lanka. The President singled out agricultural products, the tourism industry and telecommunications as industries that could be expanded in the future with more cooperation between Thailand and Sri Lanka. The Thai Deputy Prime Minister Somkid Jathashri Pitak encouraged the adoption of more digital platforms to help bolster trade links between the two countries. Thai businessmen expressed their willingness to invest in hotel, fisheries and sugar industries at the conference.
The Inter-University Students' Federation commenced a protest march today.
The protest march, which commenced from opposite the University of Sri Jawadinpura, was organised against the private medical university in Malabar and the charging of fees for certain university courses. They also demand that university intake be increased. The protesting students who arrived in Nugegoda passing the Vijay Rama Junction then proceeded to Thimrigasaya and Thumulla and then arrived opposite the Ministry of Higher Education and demonstrated. A discussion was held this evening between officials and representatives of the students who were demonstrating opposite the Ministry of Higher Education.
Police informed court that a protest march was organised today to commence from the University of Sri Jawadinpura and proceed to either the Parliament or to Temple Trees. The Nugegoda magistrate ordered that police will be permitted to use minimum force to prevent any form of protest or demonstration that disrupts the public. A heavy security presence was witnessed around the parliamentary complex today, and our correspondent added that riot police was also included to security detail that is normally present on a day that Parliament convenes.
Meanwhile, a tense situation erupted in the chambers today when the issues surrounding university students and the measures taken by the police to disperse a protest staged by HNDA students recently were taken up.
Those entrusted with enforcing the law were breaking up the law, beating up peaceful protesters. People in a democratic country have a right to protect, to give expression to their grievances. These young people had a grievance. We are not living in a colonial country. We are living in our own country. And our youth cannot be treated in this callous way. The miscreants must be identified and dealt with, including those in the command structure of the police unit who are on duty on that day. Non-repetition of such incidents must be ensured.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඇතුල් වීමට තියෙන මාර්ගය ඇයි කතානායකතුමා හමුදාව පොලිසිය කැඳවලා ඇයි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඇතුල් වෙන්න කතානායකවරයාගේ වැඩක් නෙමෙයි ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා ඔබතුමා නෙමෙයි කිව්වට ඔබතුමාට තමයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ආවට බලය එන්නේ. අපි කැමති නෑ මේ ළම.
We do not encourage attacks on these students and neither do we encourage using unnecessary force against them.
Order please.
If you want to involve student leaders to this matter, tell me the number and their names. I wouldn't mind meeting them.
Who issued the order to use police force against the peaceful protest staged by HNDA students? This parliament needs to know. How did a group of senior police officers convene a media briefing justifying their actions even before a fair investigation was conducted? They have started appointing committees as witnessed in the past.
Since Dinesh Gunawardena held a prominent position in the previous parliament, give him the opportunity to speak. There is no point in holding placards to explain.
A high-level investigation is being conducted by the Police Commission to determine if any limitations were breached during this incident. An investigative committee headed by the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, Dr. BMS Bhattagoda, has been appointed to investigate the disappointing situation that transpired during the protest on the 29th of October. We are mainly focusing on whether there is an organized group who are working to sabotage our current people-friendly program.
සොයා බැලීම කෙරෙහි අපගේ අවධානයද යොමු වී ඇත. පක්ෂ නායකතුමා ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා.
I am thankful to the opposition leader for bringing this matter up. I have no doubt that MP Sambandhan would bring up matters pertaining to the South as well. But what is his joint opposition? This joint opposition comprises of those who took decisions on this particular HNDA field on the 24th of December 2013.
මේ HND තීරණය ගත්ත අය තමයි මේ ඒකාබද්ධ කියන්නේ. ගාමි ලොග්ගේ ඇමතුමා, කේලිය රම්බුක්වැල්ල ඇමතුමා, වේල්ගම ඇමතුමා, දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන ඇමතුමා, බන්දුල ගුණවර්ධන ඇමතුමා, දලස් අලාප්පෙළ ඇමතුමා, සීවි රත්නායක ඇමතුමා, වාසුදේව නානායක්කර ඇමතුමා,
It is these people who are taking these decisions and are trying to sabotage our program. I will only answer to those who do not have the blood of the children in Ratapaswala on their hands. What they try to do now was bring more children here and get them killed. Bring those children. I am ready to meet them.
If the Prime Minister is well aware of this issue, why did you attack these students?
We have now decided to re-implement Circular 4690. If they are opened for discussions, the Prime Minister and I are ready too. But I would like to reiterate that by intimidating the government and by violating civil laws, we will not grant rights.
It is the person who holds the 5th seat in Parliament who abolished the 1990 circular. Isn't it, Honourable Higher Education Minister? After he promised for a discussion, later a message was given that he is at a meeting of the Maganaguma program.
Yes, I admit it. Table the Bhattagoda report to this house. And it is true that the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa abolished this circular. Some of the members of that government are in the present cabinet too. We decided to make amendments to that or rectify the mistakes in it. So it is those persons who are against this that are against President Maithripala Sirisena as well and insist that we should go along with that circular. An extraordinary creature called joint opposition has come about and is trying to lock horns with the opposition. So what are we supposed to do?
Honourable Dinesh Gunawardena stated that I deployed the army. I have no reason to bring in the army, and as the Speaker, I do not have that right. Decisions regarding the actions of the security forces are taken solely by the security forces. So I am extremely disappointed about your behaviour in these chambers. I have no right whatsoever on that matter. It is either the Inspector General of Police or the Army Commander who would take action regarding the conduct of the Army and the police.
ශශීකා ශිෂ්‍යයාව ඇතුළු දහස් ගණන් ළමයින්ට මේ උසස් අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යාංශ ඉස්සරහා පහර දීලා ඒ පහර දීම ගැන
මේ ගැන
ඒ පහර දීම ගැන මහපාරේ පොලිස් බලය
එහෙම තිබුණා නම් ඔබතුමාට මාව දැනුවත් කරන්න තිබුණා. එහෙම නෑ. දැන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ වැඩ කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්න අවස්ථාව දෙන්න.
This injustice has been caused to these students by the previous government. Now, after admitting their flaws, they are trying to stand all day. So let them stand.
Several farmlands and roads were inundated in Anuradhapura as a result of the heavy downpour experienced over the island.
Aspirations and hopes of farmers been washed away owing to the incessant rains. Last night, the Epavalu river tank broke off, gulping over 40 hectares of farmland. The kings in the past constructed these tanks in a bid to save rainwater and use them for human purposes rather than letting them go to the oceans. However, today, there is an issue in maintaining these tanks. Floodwaters hampered vehicular movement in the area. We informed the Mahabali authority. We informed the irrigation engineer of the damage that had been caused. We asked them to open the spill gates, but they did not do so. They did not take any action until the bank broke away. I reject these allegations. The technical division always monitors the rain conditions. 6 spill gates of the Nachduwa reservoir have been opened. Water released through these gates reaches the Malvat Oya. A number of by-roads in the Anuradhapura holy city which were inundated as a result of the rising water levels of the Malvat Oya. Eighteen spill gates at the Rajangani reservoir were opened, releasing 32,000 cubic feet of water per second to the Kala Oya. As per the water levels of the Kala Oya are on the rise, the Department of Irrigation requests those living on either side of the banks to remain cautious. The Kolit area that runs through Galnava to Anuradhapura was inundated as a result of the heavy rains. The Valavaya bridge, which is located on the road between Nagampa to Bulnava, was inundated as a result of the heavy rains. The Valavaya bridge that runs across Nagampa to Bulnava is threatened by the increasing water levels. The Kalankutia bridge on the Nagampa-Tambutegamu road was also threatened by the floodwaters. A number of houses in Amunugama Galnava have been inundated. According to a correspondent, residents of the houses have been moved to their relatives' homes. The Alava Girulla Road, Kettupula Kurunagala Road and the Narammala Varyapula Road were flooded as a result of the Kolamuna Oya breaking its banks. The Galgamo Megalava Road too was inundated as a result of the Simlagamo reservoir breaking its banks. Overflow reported from the Mioya resulted in the flooding of the Galgamo water supply project. 7 spill gates of the Dadroya reservoir were opened this morning and resulted in a minor flood in and around Ridibandiyala. Spill gates of the Castle Ray, Upper Kotmale and Veerakatiya and Muruthuvel reservoirs were opened today. 1 person was killed when a wall in the Udasapattu area in Kandy collapsed on him. The deceased was a 55-year-old father of 2. The 2-story building on the Suripali Pirivena in Navalapitiya suffered a cave-in of 20 feet this evening. Our correspondent reported that several houses in the area had also met a similar fate. 3 children were injured when an earth embankment collapsed onto a house in the Ambalangodavella area in Varakapula. The 3 boys who suffered injuries were aged 5, 11 and 15 and were admitted to the Varakapula hospital. The 5-year-old was later transferred to the Kegol hospital for treatment. A 67-year-old woman was washed away by strong currents when she attempted to cross the Katadi waterway in Balangoda.
Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology says that incessant rains in the northern and eastern parts will continue to prevail. Duty meteorologist Pabodhini Karnapala said that thunder showers will develop at several places elsewhere tonight.
So in local news, the Court of Appeal has held the decision taken by the Democratic Party to remove 3 provincial councillors as unlawful. The petition was filed by Western Provincial Councillor Ashoka Dayaratna, Southern Provincial Councillor Padmasri De Silva and North Western Provincial Councillor Malhami Ratnayaka. The case was taken up before President of the Court of Appeal Justice Vijit Malalgoda and Justices Kumudini Wickramasinghe and S.H. Madavala. The provincial councillors were removed from the Democratic Party when they decided to support Mahinda Rajapaksa during the January presidential election. The MPs challenged the decision by way of petition seeking an order nullifying the party's decision.
Speaking in Parliament, Prime Minister Ranil Wickramasinghe said that measures will be taken to address the crumbling tea industry.
Why is the government reluctant to intervene in this matter as the government did so in 2008?
2008 අදයි තියෙන වෙනස් තත්ත්වයක්. 2008 නෙමෙයි අද විශේෂයෙන්ම රුසියාවයි යුක්‍රේන් වෙළඳපොළෙත් ආර්ථික වශයෙන් කඩා.
It is a different situation today in comparison to 2008. Today there is an economic downfall in Russia and Ukraine. On the other hand, there is a war in the Middle East. There was no war back in 2008. Moreover, we are sending ministers to Pakistan and India to advertise our tea. Now, after the agreement between the US and Iran, we are in talks with both these countries to export tea. We are also sending ministers to Turkey to expand our tea trade there. The Finance Ministry has provided a sum of 1 billion rupees to the tea board to revitalize the tea industry.
Honourable Speaker, there were two wars in 2008. One was inside the country. It was a very critical moment for the country, and then there was a war outside the country, in Iraq.
I admit that there was a war in the country in 2008, but we did not grow tea in the north, so the war had no impact to this industry. I have no intentions of arguing about why our two main trades were not taken to Europe. I cannot even ask about it because the then ambassador is no more. He has gone missing, and so has his trade.
The Awards, honouring those who dedicate their lives to the noble cause of serving those in need. Nominations are now being accepted. Call us on 0716 556 556 or log on to www.theawards.lk.
3 cadets from the Sri Lanka Army died of electrocution after a high-tension power cable fell on them in Ginthara, Galle.
The high-tension power cable had fallen onto a van used by the army personnel for their driving lessons at around 1:15 this afternoon. The unexpected tragedy took place on the Galle-Colombo main road in close proximity to the Sri Lanka Transport Board depot in Ginthota. 7 personnel undertaking driving lessons attached to the Boost Army camp met with this incident. Our correspondent said that 4 persons who suffered electric shock following the incident have been admitted to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital.
Sajid Premadasa, the Minister of Housing and Construction, made a special request from the people of Tissamaharama today.
I have a request to make. We will not live forever. One day we will die. Within 3 months of the demise of my father, I made a road called Satmaga in the Yala National Park. I request that when I die, my ashes be placed at a location on that road. The reasons is because I am attached to this area since my childhood. The 8th model village project that is being constructed in the Hambantota district under the Samata 7 housing concept commenced from the Uddakandara area in Tissamaharama today. The model village was named as Sampatagama by the minister and land permits were also distributed.
With details of more stories from across the island, up next is News in Brief.
Poppy flowers were pinned on the Speaker and MPs to commemorate the fallen war heroes. The event took place at the Parliamentary Complex today and saw all MPs enter the chambers with a poppy flower. The Criminal Investigations Department filed a case at the Magistrates Court today against 6 of the 9 suspects who were arrested over the murder of former parliamentarian Nadaraja Raviraj. Among them are 3 Navy personnel, 2 police officers and 1 civilian. Colombo Additional Magistrate Nirosha Fernando ordered the CID to inform court of the Attorney General's stance on the other suspects on the 22nd of November. Former MP Sajin Diwaskunu handed over his passport to court once again today. The case filed against him over the misuse of state property is being taken up at the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court. Court released his passport for him to travel overseas and obtain medication under the condition that it is handed over to court once again.
Today I handed over my passport, that is all. When a case is taken up in court, we must be present. According to the law of the country, that is something normal.
Former Minister Jagat Pushpakumara had informed that he would not be able to appear before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today. Through an attorney, he notified the Commission that he was hospitalized. Actor Lalveera Singha appeared before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to provide a statement over irregularities that had taken place at Sri Lankan catering.
I am here to provide a statement. I know these people. There is no charge against me.
A number of environmental issues have arisen as a result of the garbage that is disposed in the 9th milepost area in Kantale by the Kantale Pradeshya Sabha. Wild elephants that roam from the Somavatiya Forest Reserve can be seen in the area. The garbage is also hazardous to these wild animals. Locals request the authorities to implement a proper mechanism for the disposal of garbage.
Up next is Crime Watch.
2 men were shot dead at the Urugas junction in Rantotuvilla. The victims were shot while they were travelling on the Urugaha-Habrugala road. Police said that 2 people who had arrived in a motorcycle had opened fire at the victims and fled. The victims were aged 20 and 25 and were residents of the area. Iran Ranasinghe, the chief suspect in the murder of karate champion Vasanta Zoiza, was remanded until the 9th after he was produced before the chief magistrate of the Anuradhapura and additional district judge Shanaka Kalanusuriya today.
Minister of Justice Vijaydas Rajapaksa visited Jaffna today, where he met with judges and lawyers.
The meeting, which was held at the Jaffna District Court Complex, was also attended by State Minister of Child Affairs Vijayakala Maheshwaran.
About the government situation on the detainees, now the Attorney General Department special team is considering to release some of them where there are no serious charges and there are no credible evidence, and others that whatever the possible case that they will agree for bail both in High Court and the Magistrate Court. Those who have been already indicted, that we are going to have accelerated trial proceedings, and we are going to have a new courthouses also just to finish all those cases as soon as possible.
Speaking further, Minister Rajapaksa commented on the death penalty.
There is a resolution that has been adopted by the United Nations since 2008 in countries where the capital punishment is in operation in law, but that they will not execute that punishment, those punishment for 2 years. Now it's continuing, it's extending every 2 years. Now again in UN that resolution will come up. The Sri Lanka also as a country where the death penalty is in operation in law, but practically we have not executed. Our government position is that this year, since 2008 we have voted, but last couple of years we have not voted. This year we are going to vote just for a moratorium for another 2 years, just to keep under suspension, not to execute for another period of 2 years.
In sports news, Director General of the Ministry of Sports KDS Ruwan Chandra says that the suspension imposed on Sri Lanka by the Badminton World Federation has been lifted. He, however, said that the Sri Lankan Rugby, Sri Lankan Aquatic Sports Union and the Sri Lanka Hockey Federation continue to remain suspended by the international bodies.
On the 22nd of July, the Badminton World Federation suspended the Sri Lankan Badminton Association's membership with immediate effect, as the SLBA constitution did not meet the criteria for ongoing membership of the Badminton World Federation constitution.
It was confirmed that the Badminton World Federation would allow the entry of players in a BWF sanctioned tournament. Therefore, Sri Lankan players will be able to play in any BWF sanctioned tournament. The Sri Lankan Badminton Association held its election and several clauses in the constitution were amended. A member from the world body was present as an observer. They are satisfied with the progress that we have made.
Secretary of the National Olympic Committee Maxwell De Silva, speaking to Sports First, said a number of local sports bodies have been suspended by the respective world bodies over issues surrounding the constitutions and regulations of the local sports bodies. He noted that a discussion will be held in the near future with the Minister of Sports. Speaking to Sports First, KDS Ruwan Chandra, the Director General for the Ministry of Sports, said steps have been taken to address the issues in the Sri Lankan Rugby, Sri Lankan Aquatic Sports Union and the Sri Lanka Hockey Federation that have been suspended by their respective world bodies. He further said that they hope to obtain the approval from the world bodies over the constitutions before the end of this year and proceed to hold the elections before April 2016.
Where we wrap up this edition of Primetime News, taking a look at once again into a situation that was reported in Parliament today. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Shahan Jarampati. Good night and take care.
මයික් එක නෑ